A cry for justice following the brutal beating and subsequent death of Tyre Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee, 3 weeks ago.
Retired NATO General Petro Pavel has beaten a billionaire former Prime Minister in an election runoff to become the fourth president of the Czech Republic. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announces plans to make it easier for citizens to get firearms amid escalating violence in the occupied territory.
A cry for justice in Memphis, Tennessee. Released video footage of black police officers brutally beating a young black motorist, Tyre Nichols, in early January has reignited calls for police reform. Nichols died in hospital 3 days later.
That George Floyd bill, had it been law, might have made some of these police think twice. This U.S. Senate and this Congress needs to deal with these civil rights issues of these times, and that is the George Floyd bill and the Policing Act. And we're going to come out of Memphis and fight like we never fought before to pass federal policing law.
5 officers from the Nichols footage have been charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault, among other charges. Memphis Police Department has disbanded the special unit which contained the officers accused.
Petro Pavel will be the Czech Republic's new president after confidently defeating his opponent, former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, in a runoff vote which ended Saturday afternoon. On stage, the 61-year-old retired general thanked the people who cast ballots in this election and said that truth and humility won. The new president will take his oath on March 9th after his predecessor Miloš Zeman held office for 10 years and was considered by many to be a Eurosceptic politician.
With the election of Petro Pavel, the Czech Republic will once again have a clearly pro-Western president. The former general supports the introduction of the euro, military aid to Ukraine, and, as he said during the campaign, he's not opposed to the legalization of same-sex marriage. Adam Magyar, Euronews, Prague, Czech Republic.
As Israelis hold vigils to remember those shot dead outside a synagogue in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announces plans to make it easier for Israelis to get firearms. This amid escalating violence in the occupied Palestinian territory. It's a move that has been seen as collective punishment and one that could further increase violence. Our response will be strong, swift and precise, Netanyahu says. Whoever tries to hurt us, we will hurt him, and anyone who helps him. We have already carried out extensive arrests of terrorist supporters, aides and investigators. We deploy forces, we increase forces, and we do it in different arenas. Recent attacks in Jerusalem followed one of the deadliest Israeli army raids in the occupied West Bank in 2 decades on Thursday. 9 Palestinians were killed.
Thousands of Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday for a 4th consecutive weekend of protests against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. In the face of growing unrest and some of the deadliest attacks both Israel and the occupied West Bank has seen in years, Netanyahu is planning to overhaul the judicial system amid his ongoing corruption trial. While the new law will need to be passed in Parliament, these protesters fear the move will bring an end to democracy. The next election will be America's last chance for salvation. This was former US President Donald Trump's message to his supporters as he attempted to kick off his election campaign on Saturday. A few hundred supporters turned out to see the Republican in South Carolina, but some have slammed the politician for failing to make any public appearances since he announced he was running for office last November. The 76-year-old still faces legal and political headwinds after he attempted to overturn his 2020 election defeat.